I was just reviewing some of the comments that you've left behind, and somebody has said that I should be reading the book by Lady C, Lady Colin Campbell. Well, of course, Lady Colin Campbell, Lady C, is the buddy of Dan Wootton, and in her own way, a sort of fantasist. I love a work of fiction. I love a work of fantasy, and one that is new, updated, and expanded. An expanded edition. It's so exciting and provocative, isn't it? Meghan and Harry. There seems to be a big gap between the Meghan and Harry. Meghan and Harry, the real story, persecutors or victims. Lady Colin Campbell, the Sunday Times and New York Times best-selling author. It's not a best-selling book, is it? It's a best-selling author, but it is certainly an author with a lot of entertaining things to say. Not very many of them, I think, are backed up by a hard truth, but certainly riveting gossip. So yes, in the absence of some of these more gossipy comedians like Frankie Howard, or who's the fellow who leans over the fence and does those things in drag? I can't remember who that is now. Les Dawson, there we are. Lady C, the Les Dawson of GB News, also appearing occasionally in Dan Wootton Outrageous or something. Dan Wootton Outlived, Dan Wootton Outlawed. I don't know. It's something beginning with O. Dan Wootton Outrageous. Dan Wootton Out There. Dan Wootton Overboard. Iceberg! Oh, yes, there we are. Can you imagine Dan Wootton and Lady C doing that famous clinch scene in Titanic? There we are. The mind goes wild. And as I say, Lady C has wonderful turns of phrase. That Harry falls head over heels in love with a steely and ambitious doyen of the new, who is careless of tradition, ignorant of its purpose, contemptuous of its consequences, and convinced, nice tricolon, and convinced that her own way is the best way, even as the evidence to the contrary mounts. I love the idea of putting the verb at the end of the sentence like some sort of Germanic fix. Exposing, as she does, a titanic clash. There you are, Titanic. Exposing, let's go back to the exposure. Exposing, as she does, a titanic clash of two civilizations. Mores and attitudes divided by a common language. Sunday Times best-selling author Lady Colin Campbell scrutinizes with insight, clarity, and precision. I think all of those words are rather vague, and don't quite express the reality of listening to Lady Colin Campbell. Scrutinizes with insight, clarity, and precision the evidence of the circumstances, actions, and motives, all these triples, of Meghan and Harry, a double, with an impeccable and aristocratically experienced vision honed by 5 decades in the public eye. 5 decades in the public eye of Lady Colin Campbell. She's only just appeared on GB News. No one knew about her before. She catalogues in depth how this apparently brilliantly favoured couple came to lose their way, how they exhibited profound contemptuousness for practices built up by a treasured institution over a millennium. Over a millennium? She's not thinking about Edward II or Charles I losing his head. There's plenty of bad kings Rather like in that wonderful film, The Slipper and the Rose, with Richard Chamberlain. He's in the mausoleum, and he's bad kings, good kings, and he's singing about the place where this will be his final resting place. And it's a very, very, very happy little song, where he does quite a lot of singing and dancing at the same time, and it's one of these great Sherman Brothers songs. But there were plenty of bad kings in British history, so I don't think we've had a millennium of practice. She catalogues in depth how these two have undermined this wonderful millennium-old institution, with her unrivaled access to a variety of worlds. I thought I said a variety of words. Closed to most writers, Lady Colin Campbell provides the reader with genuine insight into the consequences of the couple's choices through her recognition of what it has taken them to get there, including infuriating the late Queen and jettisoning close family as well as friends and colleagues, and she concludes that Harry and Meghan are truly their own worst enemies, persecutors who present themselves as victims when a more constructive and positive approach to life would have assured them of an entirely different and more positive outcome. I can't wait to order my copy.